It's Creeping Net, and today we're going to talk about using Wi-Fi in MS-DOS. I'm going to try to keep the video as simple as possible. Right now I'm turning off my hotspot because I had to make multiple takes of this because it's just kind of tricky to do. Probably going to use multiple NEC Versa in this, but this will pretty much work with any 386 or 486 laptop computer or faster with a PCMCIA Type 2 slot. Right here I've got my trusty NEC Versa M75, my personal favorite out of the lot. We might use the 40EC later because it's got drivers for this on here for Windows 3.1, just like a bonus if I have time and feel like it. Anyway, we're gonna start talking about this. So this is basically how to get Wi-Fi or wireless connectivity in MS-DOS. Why would you want to do this? Well, in the realm of vintage computing, it's a real pain in the neck when your only way with an old laptop to transfer data is through one of these. I mean, they only shuffle 1.44 megs at a time, and they tend to go bad, and, floppy disks are pretty much obsolete, and they're kind of becoming harder to find, so I tend to stick with the most high-tech solutions I can get my hands on for these old machines. As you can see, NEC Versa M75, it does not have a CD-ROM. None of my Versas do. They all predate the days. If I want to use a CD-ROM, I have to have my docking station somewhere. What if I'm in the middle of somewhere and I want to go ahead and install a piece of software, download it off the internet and install it, or maybe I want to just go do some fun stuff on the internet, and I just feel like doing it with the style and class of a vintage computer. Well, this is where these come in. So DOS-compatible Wi-Fi cards. There's only really two chipsets that are allowed. You have a Gire, a Giri, a Gare, a Gire. I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's basically the chipset used by Cisco's AeroNet series cards. This one is an LMC 352, part of the 350 series. The 340 and the 350 series I highly recommend. This one is an LMC. The PMC version has the black part out the back like a typical carry around with you portable card. I have this because I can just jam it into my NEC Versa over here and into the PCMCIA slot. I usually use the top one, and I just stick it in there, and I just shut the door, and there we go. It's hidden away, and it gives it like a modern user experience. The nice thing, the pros and cons of the Cisco AeroNet cards. First off, these are still pretty plentiful. You can get them pretty easily. They're compatible with almost anything. I think they made these through 2004. They have drivers for DOS, Windows for Workgroups 3.11, Microsoft Network Client 3.0, so you have NDIS and ODI as well as Packet. They also work with Windows 95, 98, 98 SE, NT, XP, 2000, all the way up to, I think you could probably even make this work in Windows 7, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. I mean, this thing's got a pretty wide service life. The drawbacks to these cards, first off, getting the drivers for DOS especially is particularly difficult because Cisco locks down all their old drivers, so you have to make a login account, and I think even some of them you have to have certifications on that particular product to get it. So you'll probably need to do some social networking around in VCFed or Vogons or wherever to find someone who will probably PM you the drivers for this. Another thing that makes these cards incredibly tricky is if you choose to go the route I do, it's going to be low range. So if you're going with a different scenario, in my case, I usually tether mine to my cell phone, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're using like an AP in your house or something more like this, or even one of the Cisco AeroNet PMC 340 or 350 series cards, it'd probably be better suited because it has a wider broadcast range. So, as with this card, and of course both of these cards are PCMCIA Type 2 cards. They're 16-bit, so they will work in a card bus computer, but you if you see a Wi-Fi card and it's got that little gold thing there, it's card bus, and it's not going to work with something as old as this NEC Versa or a ThinkPad 755 or 350 or early compact LTE or SLTs and Corturas and all that stuff. If it's got just standard 16-bit PCMCIA Type 2, you're going to want to look for these types of cards without the gold thing at the end there. So now we're going to move on to card number 2 here. This is the Orinoco chipset-based Lucent Waveland Silver. There are many cards with the Orinoco chipset. This is just one of them. Waveland is one of the more popular brandings they use on these. Orinoco comes, I think, in bronze, silver, and gold. So this is kind of the mid-level model. The gold ones are awesome because they can do 128-bit encryption, which means if you are running Windows 98 or some 2000 on one of these and you install a wireless manager that's actually got the ability for WPA, the golds can actually run that. These Cisco cards can actually do that too, but you don't need the special version for it. This one, if you bump up the firmware, and you can use WPA PSK with one of these put on your modern network. I mean, so it is doable. It's probably tricky and fiddly as heck. I haven't done it yet. I'll do a video on that when I do it, but yeah. This one, of course, is a stereotypical Wi-Fi card like you'd find for one of these old machines. It's got an antenna connector right there, but it has its own antenna in there. And you got the 2 status indicators right here conveniently, but of course, if you stick it in the laptop, it only appears that it sticks out. So yeah, if you have this and you're carrying your laptop around, I would be very careful because you might knock the tip off or break your slot or something. That's why I don't use this one very much. I usually stick a bunch of these because I have several of these, including these 2 that don't work, and I don't know why. I'm guessing the firmware is too new. If I figure out how to fix that, maybe I'll do that. I bought these from an eBay seller, and they looked like they worked fine. They actually kind of came up in 95 and started working, but they were really cantankerous, and trying to flash the firmware with an older version just didn't work. So anyway, we're going to start with the Lucent Waveland Silver. I'm on my M75 because FreeDOS. We're probably going to play with 2 different systems here if I decide to show 3.1 with the Cisco card. But we're going to stick with FreeDOS because there's actually a component of this that you usually have to load in config.sys, but I can load it on FreeDOS, and that's just using the devload command. So without further ado, let's get on my good old trusty favorite NEC Versa M75. There we go, we're booting up. And this is the one I upgraded to 800 by 600 by modifying. So I've been using this one a lot. Unfortunately, my battery is going flat for it, so I might do a video on that and how I've actually gotten even a 30-year-old battery to hold a charge, which was kind of nuts. So right now we are booting up. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in the minimal area possible. So we'll start in safe mode with just a few drivers, which will load himem.sys and a few other things. Here we go. Now I gotta go to C. Alright, so when you install the Orinoco drivers on your laptop, there's going to be 2 directories in the actual floppy disk for it that you're going to be concerned with. One is going to be CAD, which is going to contain wvlan cad.sys, which is a driver that has to be loaded by config.sys at boot time, or if you have FreeDOS, you can load it using devload. I believe what this does is this basically allows you to load the card without card services, which is really nice because it'll free up more memory on your vintage laptop. Not everybody has 40 megs like I do, and I know this. That's part of the reason I'm talking about a lot of this and how to save memory with these. I have all these different WVLANs, but the one to be concerned with is WVLAN 4.2, and then there's the resource files, packet.tpl and packet.ini. So let's go take a look at packet.ini first. So when we go into packet.ini, I'm going to talk about most of the parameters, what you need to have configured. So we're going to scoot down here. The first basic parameter is wireless network name. On mine, of course, it says Pixel 30. Says Pixel 3050 3058 or whatever the hell it was for my old phone that I no longer have. I'll just change it to the new one, and I need to go ahead and look at the actual screen. So now I'll change it to LG because that's what I'm using for right now, at least. Scoot on down. Right now it says station name NEC486. We're going to change that to Versa M75. Okay, so now I have my host name set for the computer, which will appear on my phone when I talk about tethering it to the phone in a minute here. AP distance. I'm just going to leave most of these at the defaults. Microwave oven robustness. This is just interesting. So apparently they were considering the fact that microwave ovens might actually present interference to the Wi-Fi card. And then we scoot down here. Medium, reservation, you have your MAC address. You can actually spoof a MAC address, which I find really kind of funny. Card power management, of course, I'm going to just go ahead and set that to no. Let's scoot on down a little more. Enhanced power save. No enhanced power save. I'm going to scoot down here, all multicasts. Enable encryption. I'm not going to use encryption at all. There's just no point for me using encryption on this. Darn it. My thing keeps getting interfered with. Anyway, we're going to scoot on down here. This is the section on WEP. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. WEP encryption is the older version of encryption used for Wi-Fi. I don't use it because I just don't see a point in it. Because it doesn't... I've been told numerous times by network security experts that really provides no protection. And the way I handle my wireless connections on my phone anyway, nobody would be able to actually get onto there anyway. And also, just to be blunt, if you're using one of these for something like, well, if you can even get it to work, if you're using this for something like financial transactions, you're not bright. Okay? This is a vintage computer. It's a leisure thing mostly. And Wi-Fi is a convenience. And it's also fun for certain things. So we're going to go down here and just skip all this WEP encryption garbage because we don't need it. I'm just going to leave everything else at the defaults. And then down at the bottom, packet interrupt is 60. And then we're going to save it and exit. There we go. So now it's saved, and now we need to set it up like it would be. Normally you would put wvlan-cad.sys in your config.sys file under device, or device high equals wvlan-cad.sys. I'm gonna stick my camera back in my mouth for lack of some way of actually holding this thing up while I type, and use the devload command in FreeDOS to load wvlan-cad.sys real quick. What? Alright. Well, we'll try this. Okay, so it's not allowing CAD, so we're gonna try this real quick. Now we're going to reboot, and we'll see if it loads now. Haven't really used Orinoco under FreeDOS. If it doesn't work, we'll mess with it and we'll mess with it on my 40 EC, which is running MS-DOS. I know FreeDOS sometimes acts up when I try to load stuff, so. And this isn't exactly an optimized configuration, so we'll go to config 4 and see if it loads. And let's see here, FreeCom, Coot Mouse. All right, it looks like it loaded, so let's go. Darn it. Let's see. We might load this on MS-DOS later. Anyway, I'm just gonna go back here and edit out. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the Cisco AeroNet card in, which is mainly the card I use with this laptop most of the time anyway. And we'll just take a look at this. But that is the way it's supposed to work with this card. I'm just going to have to use it on MS-DOS. FreeDOS sometimes is a little tricky with stuff. So now I have the Cisco card already set up, so I'll show you the parameters after I have it loaded. But let's go ahead and take a look. So right now I have my mobile hotspot. My mobile hotspot is off, so I'm going to do Control-Delete. I'm going to turn my mobile hotspot on. Some of you might not be able to do this. You might have a phone that doesn't allow it, or you might have a cell phone provider or a data plan without it. I want to kind of show you something cool here. So I have mine configured so there's only one device. I'll show you that real quick. Now in FreeDOS I found I only am able to get this particular setup with the MM386 to actually work with it. I'm not sure why. So we'll hit that. As you can see, it's loaded my UniVB and all that other stuff, and there you go. I've got an IP address from my cell phone. And if you look inside the door, you've got the link lights already going on the card. So we'll just sign into a few things and show off a little. So first off, we're going to go into links and go surf the internet a little bit. As you can see, yep, configuring through DHCP. We're going to run it in text mode. Now let's go here. Let's go to Vogons. Yeah, you can't really surf YouTube with this. It just doesn't work. So we'll go to the Vogons page. So as you can see, links will let you surf the internet in text mode. It says invalid certificate. Do you want to yeah, go on ahead. Come on, we're on an old computer. Here it goes. It loads up Vogons on there. Page 1 of 12. You can see I've got, you've got the guide and Marvin and all that other stuff in there, and Milliways, and yeah, I usually hang out in Marvin, the Paranoid Android, most of the time. Yes, so yeah, links works, and I'll just show you real quick. Links also works in graphical mode. You can load this way. See if it works. I might have to unload UniVBE for this. Nope, it works. So this is 800 by 600 graphics mode in links. This is just for some of the people who might be non-believers. Because today it's the 26th of May, and they have the Savoy Google thing up top. Let's just click on it just for giggles. Of course, it won't play any of that. I don't think it does any of that fun stuff. So, but yeah, as you can see, it'll download images and everything, and it runs in full 800 by 600 graphics mode. So you can do all kinds of stuff with this. Other things I use internet access for. Another thing I can use it for, FTP server. I'll just show you real quick and exit out of it. See again, FTP serve. There you go. I've got an FTP server, so if I want to, I can run the FTP app on my phone and put software on this computer without even having to have it on my actual home network. I could just use the phone. There you just X. I'll go Control C to shut down. There you go. So as you can see, I can tether it to the cell phone and get it on the network. So that's one way. So let's go look at the Cisco resource files real quick. So as you can see, I have the files in AeroNet. I actually put all the resource files in here too, so you have a couple text files that tell you what to do. This is the packet driver, cscpacket.com. You'll have to put the interrupt vector 0x60 after it for all your internet apps. cscpacket.ini is the INI file for Cisco AeroNet. And redistribution. This is another required resource file. PCMCIA. This is actually useful for diagnostics, like when I was working with one of these broken AeroNet cards back here, to turn on the actual PCMCIA slots. You can turn on one or the other or both to test. That's also what radinfo is used. AW call ID I think is used for something in Japan, because that's what the document said. And WebDOS is a utility for setting up your web encryption. Of course, I'm not using that right now. Let's go take a look at cscpacket.ini. So right now we're looking through here. We've got my hotspot set up. So of course, all the same stuff. You have your SSID. You have your node name, in this case Versa M75. Scroll on down. And if people are wondering why I'm okay showing any of this, I just am, because I am kind of a moving target with these. You're never going to know when I'm connected or when or what or why. And even if I was, I really wouldn't be bothered. Anyway, let's go look here. Port base 0x140 and IRQ10. So you can set your base port address, and you can set your interrupt manually. And then if you scoot down to the bottom, I have my memory set to 0xD000 and socket 1, and bus type is PCMCIA, of course. It'll also do ISA and PCI, but I tend to find those are the settings that work for me on this. That said, I probably do need to adjust either my memory or my port base address on this particular computer, because I find with the NEC Versa, when you're loading up the Wi-Fi driver, actually silences the internal speaker. The only reason I don't bother with it is just because it's actually quite inconvenient. Because sometimes I'll just lay around and watch movies and screw around on this thing online and talk to people and stuff. And when I'm doing that, it's like, it's kind of nice that I don't have to turn it down, especially when the function F6 is meep, 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 to change the volume level. It sounds like a miniature fire alarm. But that's a resource file for Cisco AeroNet. Anyway, we're going to switch computers real quick here and go talk about the other one. So we'll shut down my M75. And then we're going to bring out the other Orinoco computer here. So right here we have the first Versa I got, the 40EC, which now features this lovely marble work on top to hide all the plastic repair I had to do back here to get the hinges straightened out. a lot of baking soda, super glue, and JB Weld. And on this, of course, you open the door, slap in the card, and then let's go ahead and power it on. And I'm probably going to have to boot into safe mode first, and I'm going to have to boot into safe mode, and I'm probably going to have to add that WVLAN CAD driver first. So we'll go do that real quick, and then see if it actually loads. Oh, yeah. I left my driver disk in there. I forgot I didn't put path in there. Let's put it in highlight mode too. Yeah, so this one is running MS-DOS 7.1 with Windows for Workgroups on it. We're going to scoot down here. DOS. We're going to scoot down here and load that driver. No, it's right under here. Alright, well now let's reboot it. The highlight mode on these Versas is wonderful. Highlight mode on it is actually function F2, and that's what makes the screen so readable on camera, let alone so readable off camera. I mean, this NL6448 AC3006 screen is absolutely glorious. Darn it. Let me double check something. Yeah, I'll do it under clean. I forgot I put it under the clean mode. Alright. Yeah, because I'm doing stuff for this video, so, you know. This machine's probably going to need some FTP stuff done anyway. Right. I'm setting this up for my wife eventually. We'll go clean boot. Check command line options. Card driver not installed. Alright. No smart drive. So yeah, so there's probably some parameter I need to put at the end of the card thing. So we'll go do that soon. Go. So let's look and see what I'm doing wrong here. Okay, so driver supplies facilities for the Aguirre packet driver. So yeah. So Orinoco is an Aguirre card. So, okay, WVLAN42.com DOS ODI driver. Okay, so when I look through here, I-10. Alright, so I'm going to have to remember that. I-10, B1300. Yeah, let's just go ahead and copy that. And then just copy that in as my entry. Yep. Yeah. I might have damaged entry by removing it, but okay. Let's go. So yeah, I forgot that vital step. You have to actually set the IRQ and the port and memory addresses for it. So now we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And I've still got my hotspot on, so we're going to go ahead and load that card up.
There you go. And now.
Yeah, we're waiting for my 80 gig hard drive to index a whole bunch of stuff. The joys of ginormous hard drives on hardware that's like 15 years its 15 years its senior.
Huh?
All right, let's see if we can get this working. Might do F8. So you might actually see me watch me fix something on camera real quick here.
What? All right.
Yeah, my mouth is my camera stand right now. All right,
So.
yes, this is gonna be one of them candid videos. Okay, I moved it to the undocked configuration. Let's see what happens now. Drinking iced tea. Yeah, I haven't used this card in months, so it's kind of difficult for me to remember how it's supposed to be loaded. Oh, shoot. Let's see what happens now. We're going to try this again and again and again. Go on a journey, go on a little trip with me, and see what happens. Shift F8 for step-by-step confirmation. So we're going to do DOS, hi. We're going to load himem.sys. We're going to load here, here. And then we're going to see what happens after that. I see what I got wrong. What an embarrassing amateur mistake to make on camera to forget to actually put the full file path in. All right, now it should work. So
Alright, now we're going to go back in. And there we go. And now, alright.
So now I got to set my MTCP, got .config, and now I'll set up my MTCP configuration file. But I'm going to wait for this drive to finish churning. As you can see, we did successfully load the packet driver. So yeah, it's on there. And you can see the Wi-Fi card now has its little green light on.
Alright.
And there we go. We've got an IP address. Let's go to links.
Ah, yes.
Yes. We have to get CWS DPMI.
So, see, I had that on the E drive somewhere.
But yeah, we successfully loaded it and we got an IP address. So I'll play with this a little more later on. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and throw the Cisco card in here and show it loading up with Windows 3.11 in a moment, if it happens to be even working with that. Let's turn it off and undo the card. Then I'm going to go grab my M75, pop that card out. I actually have a second working one, but I keep it in my other machine that I use at work for actual, like, diagnostic things. What diagnostic things could you use with a classic PC? Well, have you ever heard of a virus sandbox or testing out resources that are supposed to be external? So, before this video gets too long in the tooth, we're going to talk about running Wi-Fi on a NEC Versa using this card now. The Cisco AeroNet cards I usually use more often anyway, but I figured just show the Windows 3.1 driver as a bonus. Why the heck not? Assuming I even have it loaded. So here we go. My CD-ROM isn't going to load because I don't have a CD-ROM. It's actually funny, I don't even use Windows for Workgroups 3.11 that much anymore. And if I ever get figure out how to get HX working well enough with these computers, I'm probably going to end up foregoing it completely and just running all my Windows 3.1 applications in DOS using HX. So right now it's loading. It looks like it's getting somewhere. That's one of the things about Windows 3.1, it just takes it a little longer to load if you have network drivers. Yeah, so it doesn't see the network card for that. Let's go see if my Wi-Fi network even has the drivers on it. Yeah, so I'm going to add that second card to it. Add adapter. I'm going to use the Cisco drivers I have. Let's go in here. So, yeah, well, watch me set up my Cisco card now, too. Because you can have multiple network adapters in Windows 3.11 for workgroups. Let's go see if I even have that in there. Let's see here. Actually, let's make sure I don't have it on here already. Yeah, I don't. So, I'm going to roll back up to here. Updated network driver and adapter. Then we're going to go browse. Darn it. Yeah, I need to stop looking at the camera monitor when I'm trying to do something on the computer. The delay really screws with my head. Let's see if he'll find it. Nope. Cancel. Cancel. So I'll pull this out. Yeah, this is disk 2. I need disk 1. Where is disk 1? There we go. Cisco AeroNet disk 1. Then this old school. We have to go browse, // come on. Yes. Okay, here we go. Then we'll use the NDIS driver for it. We go in here. Okay. And then you see Cisco Systems wireless adapter. I go to OK, and there it loads it. Now we'll add to the Cisco. We're going to add protocol, and we're going to just use TCP/IP32B, which is already on here, and then we're going to remove the other two. NetBEUI, remove NetBEUI. There's just no reason to have those old protocols. Enable DHCP. I'm just going to leave my default gateway the way it is. And then we'll just go ahead and do this real quick. Wait, this is for the SMC. Let's see what the Cisco card is. I'm just going to leave that blank, but we are going to enable automatic DHCP on that card because it needs to have that. Here you go. Attempt to configure, and then close. Close. Okay. And then yes to all. There we go. It's got all the files. Restart computer. And then we will see the glory of Wi-Fi and Windows 3.1. Well, Windows for Workgroups 3.11. So now we're going to boot it up and we're going to see if it works. We may have resource problems, but hey, it's a nice bonus to this video to show that it's actually doable. We're going to exit it, abort that, go in here, and then we're going to load this Windows resource. Of course, it'll probably take longer now since it has 2 NICs. Hey, let's go look in here. You can see that hard drive churning away. This thing was never meant to have an 80 gigabyte hard drive installed, ever. Come on. You can do it. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look here. But anyway, it's going to take a lot more tweaking, so I'll post about doing Wi-Fi and Windows 3.1 in another video. It'll probably be a while in coming because a lot more to do, but that pretty much does prove that it is doable and you are able to actually add a Cisco AirNet Wi-Fi card via Windows 3.1. Since the focus of this video is DOS, I'm not going to waste any more time on this. Anyway, this is CreepyNet signing out, and I'll see you in the next video.